Welcome, everybody, to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show with myself, Ehren and Tom. Tonight, it's a version of the Hot Tag episode where we just kind of talk about all things that are going on with pro wrestling and our thoughts. Tom, how's it going?
Doing great.
So you got the new tight shirt on.
Yeah. Representing Adam Scher, CYN, Control Your Narrative. I'm excited to see what that brings to us. Supposedly a new TV deal. We'll see what that looks like. If it's a streaming service or whatever. I'm excited to see. I feel like they're up against a lot of obstacles, but they brought in Killer Cross as well. So I feel like they're rounding out a pretty good roster. I know they're using John Skyler a lot, so that's always exciting. It's going to be a different path than a lot of pro wrestling, so we'll see if it catches on.
Yeah, it's kind of tough when you look at the landscape and try to think of someone just completely starting up. But again, a lot of people thought that about AEW when they started as well. But this one's going to be totally different than anything that anyone's kind of ever seen. It'll have a niche to a certain group of people to start with. And I think perhaps once word of mouth starts catching on, like, hey, everyone needs to kind of check this out, it'll kind of fall into the fold. It kind of just makes me know, I don't know. It kind of makes me feel like, Cardona and them's promotion that they kind of run, that you've watched a few times. I feel like this could be kind of the start of something like that. I don't know if it's going to be one of the big major league ones or not, but hopefully it's fun and everyone will get a chance to watch some talent that they've been missing out on.
Yeah. And, everyone's got their own niche of what they like to watch. And the way this sounds is it's going to be a little bit different from anything that you can get anywhere. So maybe there is a niche out there that, can, give them some, good paying jobs and give some talent some room to grow and some work out there. I mean, it's always good to have more places for people to work. So we'll see what happens. But it's kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, it's March, which means we're on the road to WrestleMania. And, we'll do an episode a little bit later on with some WrestleMania picks because there's still some matchups still left to come. But one of the biggest news stories that kind of like stole a little bit of the WrestleMania thunder happened last week when Tony Khan announced the purchase of Ring of Honor. And I know there's a lot of people, including us, who are kind of interested to see how this all plays out. Like, what does this mean? Is he going to be able to sign all these old Ring of Honor talents like a Jonathan Gresham and the Briscoe brothers and use them specifically for Ring of Honor? Is he planning on kind of combining it? I think the last I heard was it will be a separate entity, and he is looking to push new young stars on that brand, and then perhaps doing a little cross between Ring of Honor and AEW at some point once a year. Your thoughts on the Ring of Honor purchase by Tony Khan?
It's exciting. However, I, haven't seen enough yet to know what we're looking at. But I feel like with Tony Khan, I feel like it is in good hands. I feel like he tries everything he can do to do what not only serves the fans, but is best for the wrestling business. Not that he's perfect. He's a promoter. It's there's no perfect in that world. But I feel like ROH is in good hands. It's just, I wonder if he's taking on too much. If he's going to be booking all of the shows, is that another added thing that he maybe doesn't need to put on his shoulder when he's still trying to make AEW as good as it can be? But not that he can't handle it. I'm sure he's got other jobs as well. But that is a lot. But it's also another great opportunity for young talent to get to work and to showcase all the great abilities that are out there.
Yeah. The one thing I would do is I would eliminate AEW Dark and Elevation immediately and see if I cannot perhaps strike a deal where Ring of Honor can kind of take over those time slots just to kind of start out, and then use some of those talents that they've been using and sign those talents. I made a list at work. I would love to see more of Sky Blue. And then there's talent such as Top Flight and Private Party and Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, who kind of seem to be stuck in limbo right now. I say that Dante Martin's going to wrestle Hangman Adam Page for the AEW Championship, but let's be honest, his brother's back, and that's where they're going to go back to being a tag team. That's exactly where they're going to be. But I would love to see those talents featured more. I've always been very negative as far as I love the fact that they bring all these talents to AEW Dark and Elevation, but I hate the fact that they're 2-minute matches and 3-minute matches, because if you're just a casual wrestling fan and you're getting your eyes on, and this is just an example, a Danny Moe, and you're getting your eyes on Danny Moe for the very first time ever, and she's getting a 2-minute match, even though I'm sure it means the world to her, and we're so proud of her, former guest of ours. But I want to see a 10-minute Danny Moe match. And perhaps if you sign certain talents such as her, or use Sky Blue and give them those 10-minute matchups into a Ring of Honor, it will help elevate them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. They are getting some shine by being on, either the YouTube show or even on AEW Dynamite or Rampage, but they're not getting featured in a way that you can really see what they can do. So this would be a great opportunity to be able to utilize some great talents that are out there that they've already been using. They've already got their foot in the door, but give them an opportunity to show what they can actually do. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I hope that they at least incorporate some of those talents that they've been using off and on their YouTube shows, because there's a lot of talent out there that's just, they're right there. There's just too many wrestlers to feature for AEW, Rampage, and Dynamite. They can't put them all on TV. So this would be a way for them to be able to do that, and it wouldn't necessarily impact the storylines for the main shows.
Yeah, I would say 60%, and it's probably higher, 60% of wrestling fans have no idea about the independent talent out there. They only know what they see on their television, either a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. And when you do not get a chance to watch these men and women perform, you're missing out. I mean, now Dante Martin's a rare case. He has been featured quite a bit. But you and I, we went to Cosmic Christmas, Billy Starr's Cosmic Christmas, and the match Dante Martin had with Tyler Matrix was great. And then Sky Blue's involved in a tag team match, and you're able to see what she can do when she's able to be herself. And you're just like, she's a star. I mean, why can't she be a star? And it's very frustrating for us because we want to see everyone succeed. And I get it. Can't everyone succeed? But you can let people have their shine.
Yeah, I mean, that card was loaded from top to bottom of people that have had, minor stints in different places. And it's like what you're getting to see on AEW of them is nothing compared to what they're able to do. Kylan King and Sawyer Wreck tore the house down with
literally and physically.
Yes, with help me out here. The Rejects. And it was insane, slamming doors across each other's and just you talk about a hardcore type style match that was great storytelling. That's one of the best that I've seen, and especially in person. And, you're not talking a 5-minute match. This thing was the main event of the show. They got to put in time, tell stories, and it's like, why are these people not featured in main stories on any program across, whatever it is, whether it's NXT, Impact, AEW, WWE, Raw, whatever. All 4 of those competitors were were top-notch competitors and would be something I think fans of any, whatever you really like, whether you're a WWE fan or a hardcore AEW fan, the talent was there, and the talent that we're kind of talking about, they just don't get seen. And I'm on the same wavelength with you on that, and maybe this will be a great way for that to happen.
Other big news that's kind of been holding things up is the Cody Rhodes news. And what is the news? It seems like just 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, it was a sure thing. He was going to WWE. And so far as we know, that has not been pinned to paper. And there's some second guessing and second thoughts going on from all parties involved. And kind of makes me wonder if Cody isn't involved in perhaps the Ring of Honor, the new Ring of Honor that will be debuting as well. Since he supposedly left AEW, they can say he did leave AEWC, and we were right. But here he is at Ring of Honor. So your thoughts on what do you feel is best for Cody right now?
What's best for Cody, in my opinion, is for something to happen quickly. I feel like when he left, it was a oh my God moment. And it's like, well, where's he going to go? Well, now it's been weeks. I think people are starting to not care. So, yeah, it could be a surprise element where, it is a big reaction, but I feel like it's a mistake for them for Cody himself to not capitalize on the talk of the town. Because, you talk about taking over social media. When his announcement that he was leaving came out, that's what everybody was talking about. Ain't nobody talking about it no more. And I think that's a problem. I think they need to do something quickly if they're going to do something. I mean, is it going to matter in the grand scheme of things if he does debut on WWE and, they do something good with him instead of just, him being there? Yeah, it'll be fine. But I think they had magic in a bottle, to use that expression. And I think it's slowly seeping out the longer they wait.
I would like to see him just go back to WWE. And I've told you this. I would like to see maybe Seth do an open challenge at Mania and Cody answer the challenge. I think that's a good matchup, or they can go ahead and start that build. There's still time, but you're right. You can't wait around with this unless it is going to be a surprise. And for someone like Seth, who doesn't even have an opponent right now, I can't think of anyone that I would really want him to wrestle. I'm sure he could wrestle someone like a Nakamura, and it'd be a great match, or he could wrestle. I mean, Seth can wrestle anybody, and it'd be a pretty good match. But it has to be something I want to care about. And to me, the only person left right now that doesn't have a match at Mania, unless Bobby Lashley comes back, would be Cody as a surprise.
Yeah, I don't know. WrestleMania for me is something that I feel like needs more of a build than what I think that would allow. But it all depends on how it's done. I mean, hell, we're potentially getting Austin at Mania in a match, so we'll see how that goes down. And I don't know how much build there's actually going to be for that. We'll have to see how it plays out. But, if it's going to be an actual match with Austin, I would have wanted them to have started it a little bit before what they've done now, instead of just had Kevin Owens, throwing out the cheap shots with Texas and everything. Because, that's one thing, but to build a WrestleMania match, I feel like it needs to be something stronger than that.
Yeah, I was kind of let down. I was really hoping Austin and Owens was actually going to be scheduled as a match. I thought that would have been a great addition to this card. I look at the card, nothing's really, it's weird. I feel like there's a lot of stuff we've seen. There's a lot of stuff I don't care about seeing. I mean, the match I'm most excited about right now on paper is Edge and AJ. I think that could steal the show for whichever night that they wind up on. I'm sure Brock and Roman's going to be great. I mean, I really do. I really think those two have done well together. They work great together. It's a great story with them. I'm not really pumped about Ronda and Charlotte. Uh, this Ronda to me is not clicking like she did a few years back. I wasn't pumped about the Becky and Bianca rematch because we had just seen that program. And now we're into that where, well, let's just throw people here and there. You know, we got celebrities and matches with Knoxville and Logan Paul. I just feel like it needed that Austin Owens matchup to kind of really perk people up. And I'm sure it'll get physical. I mean, there's no doubt it's going to get physical, and the crowd will get their pops. And maybe it sets up something later. Maybe Austin doesn't have enough time to get ready, but maybe by SummerSlam or something he does. But that would suck to think that Steve Austin's comeback match isn't in Texas either. So,
Yeah, it's got to happen there if it's going to happen, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm a little bit more excited for it than I think you are. I'm all about the Knoxville Sami Zayn rivalry. I think that's going to be a blast. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be, 10 minutes is going to be fun. I'm excited to think about the things that they may do for WrestleMania with Knoxville. Could be very entertaining. And Pat McAfee is going to be wrestling. So I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee, and whatever he brings to the table, I think is going to be good. So that's exciting to me. And I mean, as far as Logan Paul, it'll be whatever. I don't know. I'm not really up to date on that. I'm not sure what the difference between Logan Paul and Jake Paul is. So I know they're brothers or whatever, but I couldn't tell you which one's which. But what it's whatever. The Miz is involved, so it should be entertaining. The Miz is usually on top of his game, so I'm sure they're putting something together that's going to be good. Not that it's probably my least favorite match that I'm looking forward to, but it's definitely something different, and I like that instead of just the same. I don't have a problem with you throwing in a celebrity match if they're athletic, or able to take bumps and things like Knox.
Yeah, I would have had McAfee wrestle Rollins instead of Theory. I mean, we saw what he did with Adam Cole, and Austin Theory's got a lot of talent. I just don't know if he has that name value, and maybe this is what it's all about. Let's give Austin Theory the name value because I really do see him as a major player for the next few years. He's really young. He's 24 or 25, I think. So he's got a great future ahead of him, and maybe that's where they're kind of at. Maybe they're thinking, hey, let's give him the rub. But I think McAfee and Rollins could have had fantastic chemistry. And of course, the story came out that it was supposedly going to be Shane versus Rollins, which I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. Nothing against Shane. I've liked a lot of his matches through the years at Mania, but I'm done with Shane at Mania. I'm just done with it. So
I don't have a problem with Shane, especially match wise. Now, some of the silly storyline things I've not been a fan of, but if you put Shane in a match with anybody, I'm good with it. I just, he's just one of those. I don't know if it's just what I've seen him go through and what he's done in the past that he has that credibility with me. I'm not saying he's the best wrestler in the world by any means, but I enjoy his matches, and I know that he puts everything he has into them, and you can tell, and it shows how much passion he does have for what he does in the ring. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. But
who knows? They may rehire him back. I mean,
it's always, especially if you're a McMahon.
You're a McMahon. Who knows? And before we go tonight, one last one. Dolph Ziggler, new NXT champion, which is kind of surprising. Breaker's only had the title for about a month now. I mean, he hasn't had it very long. But when I started seeing him on Raw, I thought to myself, oh, man. Because I know Vince is probably thinking, ooh, Ooh. But your thoughts on Dolph winning the NXT Championship?
It's great for him. He hadn't had that. But here's my concern, and not even a concern. Here's what I think silly. So they got rid of all this talent from NXT because they were going to focus on the younger talent. And now Dolph Ziggler is your champion. That doesn't even
30, 35, 30. I mean, I don't know how old Dolph is, but
some of the people that they got rid of were the same age. So
maybe they feel like this is just going to elevate. I mean, I expect him to get the belt back, Breaker to get the belt back. But because I don't know who else that they have ready to perhaps take a title, especially
look, it's Dolph Ziggler. Like, he's a world-class talent. He's great in the ring. He's an excellent sports entertainer, pro wrestler. But is he moving the needle?
I don't think he's moving the needle, but we've talked about for years, if you're not using some of these talents on the main brand, then they should throw a couple of the people down there. We talked about that forever. Like when Jeff Hardy was on that losing streak, like, why don't you throw Jeff Hardy down to NXT for a while to feud with Karrion Kross? Of course, they had Kross come to the main roster, and he gets beat by Jeff Hardy in 20 seconds. But there's so much talent out there that you could throw back down in NXT and have them help elevate some of those people. And I have no problem with Dolph getting in a feud with Braun Breaker. I thought it was pretty good. Like, all right, I like this because, like you're saying, Dolph, he can go, and he'll bring something out of Braun Breaker that maybe we haven't seen as far as in-ring work goes. I consider Dolph to be a fairly good ring general. Whether or not he's the one that's always kind of calling the matches or not, but usually his matches are pretty technically sound with certain aspects. But I was just shocked that he won the belt. I mean, I really was. I was like, wow, I really didn't see that coming at all. I thought maybe Ciampa could steal a victory and regain the belt, but I didn't think for a second Dolph was going to win it.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, for the vision that they say that they're having for this brand, I don't think that makes sense. I don't see any way that they think having Ziggler as the champion, if they're going with the reasoning that they're rebranding it and doing everything that they're doing, I don't think that he fits in there for that reason. Now, if it was the old black and gold, Ziggler coming down to mix it up with, Gargano and Adam Cole and, any of them, really. Even Kyle O'Reilly and Dolph Ziggler, I think, would have been a fantastic feud. But they changed everything. So if the reasoning for them to change it is to push the new talent and do this and do that, well, then it doesn't make any sense for him to have come back. Like, you had all these other guys there that could have done that.
Well, and I mentioned somebody who could take the belt from Breaker, and he's in NXT, and it's Gunter. It's Walter.
Right.
I mean, he's the guy.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to set that match up, that's the guy that should have took the belt from Breaker.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're setting that matchup needs to be at Mania.
Well, and there was a rumor floating around that it's going to be a triple threat with Gunter, or a fatal four-way with Gunter, Ciampa, Dolph, and Breaker. There is a rumor floating around that that's going to be the stand and deliver main event. If so, I mean,
I can dig it. Yeah, I mean, great match.
That could be match of the year.
Yeah.
With those four guys. So yeah, interesting times. Definitely, like I said, we'll touch a little bit. We still got a couple of weeks before Mania, and I'm sure things are going to change because that's how they do it in the world of professional wrestling. But for myself and Tom, we want to thank everyone, as always, for the support. Make sure you head over to Pro Wrestling Tees. No sales this week, but I'm sure there's going to be some sales coming up for WrestleMania weekend. Pick up some of our merchandise and pick up some of our past guests' merchandise as well. Pick up a copy of my book, Independent Road to Wrestler's Journey, or Loving Casey Nelson. For myself and Tom, everyone, do what you need to do. Stay safe. And we'll see y'all next week.